So you've been trying to get your hands on some classic Pokemon cards, or even trying to build a magic deck to take down to the local hobby shop, but you just can't stop thinking about playing roguelike games. They're just too good. We've all been there. I understand. I've been there myself. But have no fear, the fine folks at Abracam Entertainment have you covered, and so do we, with our review of the newly released deck building roguelike game, Roguebook. Welcome back to Drnkie Indie, everyone. I'm Drnkie, and this is our weekly indie review, Buy or Skip. Our goal here on Buy or Skip is that by the end of this video, you'll have my opinion on enough information to know if you should buy or skip any given game. And if you enjoyed this review and you find it helpful while you're watching, let us know down in the comment section below. And if you're new here to Drnkie Indie, don't forget to subscribe and become part of our community. Alright, this is Roguebook, and here's my review. Released June 17th, 2021, Roguebook was developed by Abracam Entertainment and is being published by Nacon. You can find Roguebook on Steam, but they do have plans for future console releases. As a side note before we begin, one of the biggest credits behind Roguebook would be the developer Richard Garfield, and while you might not know him by name, you more than likely know him by the card game that he created, Magic the Gathering. So with our I's crossed and our T's dotted, let's start with our first category, story. Like with all roguelike games, we need a tiny bit of story that will set our entire journey in motion. Something that isn't too deep, but it will let you suspend your disbelief just for a little bit and get you to care about the characters that are actually on the screen. In Roguebook, you'll find out that it's aptly named, as your entire venture is predicated on this idea that you're in fact trapped within an actual book. This actually is a really cool detail from the developers because they have a universe and a game called Faria, which I haven't played before, but this is a book that you're trapped in from this game's universe. This detail is just some really cool world building to a bigger universe that I actually kind of want to explore because of this little detail. But back to Roguebook real quick, right? Because when you load in, you're met with this fairy creature who is trapped in the book with you, and he's been there for some time, and he begins to instruct you along your way as he's the resident shopkeeper, and he lets you know that with every map that you find, it's kind of representing a page of this book, and as you dig deeper, you're actually going deeper into the book to eventually find your way out. I find this story and setup for why we're on this roguelike adventure to be one of my more favorite ones I've encountered, so hats off to the developers over at Abracam Entertainment. You did good. Up next, let's talk graphics. One of the largest reasons that I continuously fall in love with the indie space over and over again comes down to the art that these developers are able to produce. Where the rest of the gaming industry seems like it all begins to look slightly the same, games like Roguebook come out and they just give you a completely different feeling, and to me it's a much more rewarding design that makes me feel like I'm a younger teenager again, and I'm just looking through these books and all this fantasy art, like in my bed with the light off with like a flashlight on. They really take you back. Roguebook's art style is nothing short of amazing. If you've ever played card games and stared for hours at the art on these cards wishing that you could jump inside of them, this game is set up for you. The environments and all the monsters feel like they're fully realized in this universe. They feel incredibly unique, and they're all lush with colors and creativity. My only note I would make about this game's graphics would be the animation department. And there was a time in game development where every frame of a character animation had to be readjusted or redrawn, and in modern game development, this kind of skips that labor-intensive process for more of a rigging process, where it lets the animator kind of like hinge the arm or something and it just moves out there. And while this does work and it gets the job done, this is always something that just kind of sticks out to me as feeling slightly off. And I understand the desire to not want to animate all the frames. This is indie gaming after all, and staff, time, and budgets, everything is so much more limited, so I don't want to really hold this against the developers, but in the back of my head, I always think how this thing could be done on a larger scale with a bigger bigger department of animators. My animation nitpicking aside, I think the art of Roguebook is easily set up to make it one of the best looking indie games that we're going to see this year. Like seriously, we're talking about some game of the year art direction in this. It's just, everything's absolutely gorgeous. Buckle up because we're about to get a little wonky. Let's talk gameplay. So I feel there is a special section of the deck building community that I fully embody and embrace. You're a casual player, but you've never gotten too deep in the mechanics of a card game to really know what's going on under the hood, but you've been around long enough to know how to change a tire, or maybe when you're looking at the engine, you can say, that doesn't look quite right, and you have absolutely zero idea what you're actually staring at, right? I lovingly refer to this group as dummies because I fully embrace them, and math is hard for me, so this is my group of people. This is my people. I feel like Roguebook, because it's meant to be played as a single player roguelite, is able to fill in all these gaps of knowledge for the dummies like myself to make for a really enjoyable experience no matter what your skill level is. You start your games on a board filled with hexagon-shaped tiles that can be revealed through painting them with your brush. This brush has a limited number of uses when you begin, And throughout the game, you can find additional sources of ink to help out your brush, or even, change the way it paints, either like a straight line or in a big radius. But make no mistake, the game wants you to be struggling to reveal the board. Resources are extremely limited, but you can find them throughout the map and even in your card battles. And the card battles play out as your two heroes, both of which can be swapped out for other characters in the game, draw their character specific cards into your hand. Using certain cards will rearrange the order of these heroes that they're standing in, think kind of front line and back line. And this mechanic is really important because both your heroes have an HP bar, and managing which one of your heroes is going to take damage during the round is quite crucial. Juggling these rounds and these mechanics and realizing how much damage your enemy will do, and then adjusting your strategy, is a formula that becomes incredibly addicting very early on in your time in Roguebook. And as you begin to learn these mechanics, it only becomes more satisfying and more addicting. It's really strong. Finally, let's talk about the deck building of the game. The developers of this game have really hit the nail on the head about how to pace building your deck in this game, but at the same time making the deck building fit the risk and reward that comes along with roguelites. Various nodes on the map will allow you to purchase one of 3 random cards, but doing so at a cost of gold. Gold, which is very precious in this game, and foregoing some of these cards in your deck might lead you to a better item for your characters from the shop. This deck building style leads to a lot of hard choices to make, those that will either lead you deep into the game or make it hard for you to get past the first map. Additionally, there are gemstone crafting mechanics in this game that allow you to attach new abilities to the cards in your deck if you have the right gemstones. This makes every run feel amazingly different, as you can have the same card doing 2 different roles inside your deck in 2 different runs. It's really deep. The amount of variety is staggering in this game. Each of its 4 heroes has an expansive deck of all their own, and they have this unique synergy throughout them, and discovering how each hero synergizes one another is just another level in this game that I'm completely impressed with. And like I said at the beginning of this category, I'm a dummy enthusiast, and when it comes to deck building genre, I think this game has enough to offer to everyone at all skill levels. But I truly believe that this game masterfully blends the roguelike genre and the deck building in a way that isn't just surface level. The developers have a deep understanding of both of the genres, and it shows in the end product. Our next category, sound. The sound in Roguebook really lives up to the artwork and what it's trying to achieve. The music surely could easily become overbearing while you're trying to think out your rounds and calculate all the damage that's going to occur, but the soundtrack does a wonderful job of blending into the background while still giving you the feeling that you're in the world of Feria. Similarly, the sound effects are really satisfying to listen to while you're playing through this game. I've tried to avoid comparison to other card games on the market, but I think it would be safe to make a comparison now between Roguebook's sound design and say a game like Hearthstone. Playing a card in Hearthstone creates a huge moment that pulls your attention on-screen animation, and then the sound effects just hug everything and what's going on. It's just over the top. But in Roguebook, everything just feels like it's light. The sounds for the animations and their consequences from the card you played are just not as important as the actual card that you played. It's kind of a weird feeling for me to explain, but the sound effects in Roguebook make me feel much more like I'm playing a card game in real life, as playing the cards are satisfying in themselves and not what I'm hearing from them. Altogether, when playing Roguebook, from the soundtracks to the sound effects, everything just fits beautifully, and it just matches the roguelike genre and being pleasant to listen to for hours at a time. Replayability. We've talked about this time and time again on this channel, but I really don't have any problem bringing it back up again, right? The best genre, in my opinion, hands down for replayability, is the roguelike genre. For a relatively cheap price, you can get your hands on a game that will give you literally hundreds of hours of entertainment without really feeling bored at all. There are so many roguelike games that I can't count how much time I've spent on this genre, and really I don't think I've ever spent over $100 in my life on roguelikes, and my bang for the buck on that is crazy. Roguebook is no different in that regard. The amount of variety that is given to you in each new run is just delightful. Every time you load in, it truly feels like a different experience, filled with so many different combinations of choices just on so many levels. And then to add on to this, the deck building genre would likely come into a close second for genres that just give you a ton of replayability for the money that you're investing into it. You can spend hours on this game just thinking about the different decks you can build and trying to achieve those decks because you're just missing out on those cards. Couple these ideas together, the knowledge and strengths of a deck building game with the randomness and the risk reward choices that you have to make in the roguelike genre, and this could be one of the deepest games I've come across in a long time. It's just a shining example why you need to be paying attention to the indie space and the developers that are making games here. There's just so much innovation and so much fun having here. I love the indie space. Buy or skip, Roguebook. When I was looking for a game to get back into Drnkie Indie, because it's been a little bit since we posted a review here, I came across the art style Roguebook and was just completely mesmerized by the way it looked. But when I really got my hands onto the game, I was stunningly blown away by how deep this game is, how much it loves the roguelike genre, how much it loves the deck building genre, and just what it does when it puts those things together and how it marries those two ideas just beautifully. This is one of the funnest indie games I've played all year, and I think you should definitely get your hands on it. Roguebook is an absolute buy. Alright, there it is. That is the review for Roguebook. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. I hope it helped you out. If it did, make sure you leave a like on the video. Leave a dislike if you didn't enjoy the review. But if you do, let me know down in the comment section below what I did about the review that you didn't like. Thanks for hanging around Drnkie Indie. I know it's been a while since we posted a review, so thanks for coming back and watching this one. If this is your first time here on the channel, make sure you leave a subscription so you can come back for more reviews. Alright, that's it for the video. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. Bye, everybody.